Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, a trip through the sticky wicket that is the English language, grammatical conventions, with Word Nerd Emily Brewster.
Because it's being cold out there. We'll also talk about helping young students to greater success with local educator and author of Engaged to Excel, Valenti Tulak, who will celebrate the release of that book this weekend in Springfield.
But first, it's not just dry January. For some, it's also Veganuary, a time to dietarily reset one's mind and body and eating habits.
As it is a whole new year, Western Mass has also been given a new place that one can do just that.
Is that a real citrus tree right there?
I wish.
Sure is.
I did get close enough to it, or I was like, oh.
Yeah, right. Because it looks like real dirt in there, and I was like, they don't look like real lemons or limes, but oh well. One can dream.
Yeah, right.
It's the only non-organic thing in here, probably.
The only winter crop we can't have.
Time for another local hero spotlight with Jennifer Kaur from CISA, community involved in sustaining agriculture, the local hero folks. And it's still January, and people are still in I need to be better about being a better person to my body mode, and that's good. It's a good mentality to carry with you all year long, but let's exploit January, shall we? And that's why we're at Nourish Wellness Cafe, the brand-ish new Nourish Wellness Cafe at Eastworks in East Hampton. What's your name?
My name is Kyle Steinberg.
And I'm Casey Flaherty.
You have opened a cafe years ago in Northampton that's still right there on Bridge Street.
Yeah, in the corner of Market and Bridge.
Drove right past it on the way to come see this new location. Talk about what is Nourish and the idea, then we'll get into the expansion into East Hampton.
For sure. I mean, Casey took over Nourish in 2022, and what Nourish is it's a vegan, vegetarian, all-organic cafe serving just delicious food for, anyone who's trying to eat healthy, but also still get some flavor in that belly,
Yeah, we focus on all organic and supporting small farms nearby to us and just trying to have a clean menu with no oils and no bad additives and just giving people a chance to be able to eat pretty much anything on their menu and not have to worry about their dietary restrictions.
You took over in 2022, just after the height of the pandemic, because
Yes.
it's not like COVID went away. But what was it like taking over a space like this in those circumstances?
It was much different for sure. When I took over, it was an already existing business at the time. So, lots of systems that we've been making better as time goes on. But as far as just opening something that didn't exist, this was just a from scratch space. Like it was nothing before. So, the plumbing, the electrical, everything that went into the space is what we have worked on this past year. And, it was a really big journey. It started with us holding a fundraiser. The community really showed up for us and we were able to hit our goal and double that, which was amazing. And honestly, we wouldn't have been able to make this come true if it wasn't for all of the support we have received this past year. Everybody was so excited for us to expand.
Just the expansion process for this space was definitely a lot, and was a big undertaking for the two of us who have never opened our own space before, but we built this one from the ground up, and it's been so special to be here. Casey hit the nail on the head with just the community support. We're so grateful to be here, and we're excited to see where the road takes us going forward.
You're right next to the Registry of Motor Vehicles. Do people come right next door to Nourish Wellness Cafe to try to decompress from all the stress?
From the RMV.
For sure. They either come in really excited or, they may have to go back for round two, but we're at least here to keep them having a positive experience.
I brought my license, the letter you sent me to my house, my passport, and I still can't get a real ID because my social security card is laminated. Give me a smoothie.
Hit. Your passport is already a real ID. Don't pay for it if you got one.
For the benefit of people listening, we're in this really lovely space. So you're talking about having created it yourselves. Well done, because it feels wonderful. It smells wonderful in here. It's
smells new.
incredibly inviting.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask about that actually before we get to food and things, because if I'm not mistaken, this used to be gallery space, just empty, and now you have to convert it to restaurant space, which is totally different in terms of needs. So you mentioned a little bit of your hardship getting this started, but what were some of the things that you had to bring in and get built here?
I mean, Casey kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier about the electrical and the plumbing and all that stuff, and basically we had to start from the ground up. Walls had to go up. I mean, fortunately for me, I have a background in industrial engineering, and so moving locations is something that I've done in the past with other businesses. Not quite a restaurant, but definitely had a little bit of a knack of just kind of what goes into building a space and that. My father also has over 40 years of commercial construction experience, so he was definitely a huge, help for us to get this project going. But yeah, it was, a lot of people involved, and we did it really quickly. I mean, it was over the course of, I think, 8 months, I think, we were able to just completely build this space up. So it was a huge undertaking, and, huge shout out to DA Sullivan for helping us out with the whole project there.
That's not the district attorney, Dave Sullivan. It's a contracting company called DA Sullivan, not to be confused with the former home of the Northampton Center for the Arts, which is the DA Sullivan building near the Academy of Music.
And also just a big shout out to the building owners, because if it wasn't for the two of them supporting our dream and, wanting us to open here and hearing from the community that there just needed another space in East Hampton that served something fresh like this, it wouldn't have happened without them. We feel very supported and lucky.
We're with Casey and Kyle at the brand new Nourish Wellness Cafe at Eastworks in East Hampton, which is such a cool building. Jennifer Core from CISA and I were talking before we started rolling here about all of the fun stuff that's here. Our friends at Tip Top Wine Shop are on just the other side of the building. Saw Chef Dave from Daily Op walking out of Nourish while we were walking in. There's a really fun community vibe here, and this is one of the biggest successes of, I think, repurposing an old mill building into something that has consistently remained vibrant. Now, this is technically a CISA segment, talking about buying local food, and you are Nourish Wellness Cafe, and we have barely touched on what you might be serving here. So tell us what's on the menu here at Nourish.
Well, our lovely Gill Greenery in Gill, Mass, they supply us with our sprouts all year long. So clover sprouts and bean sprouts are always coming through our door. As well as that, right now we have Winter Moon Roots from Hadley. They have an amazing farm there. They work so hard all year long to bring us the best carrots and beets we have ever seen before. And then there's Four Corners Farm as well. Tripp and his wife, they run that farm. They also supply us with butternut squash.
The list goes on and on. I mean, I feel like we could sit here for a while and say all these things, but we get our maple syrup up in Coleraine. Thank you. I was going to say Ashfield, but that's we have our herbalist, Sweet Birch Herbals. She does all of our teas and tinctures.
Real pickles all year long. Our fermented beets and ginger carrots and our sauerkraut. They put so much love into it, and everyone can taste it. The ferments are amazing.
Kale coming through the door from Atlas Farms, and like we say, the list could go on and on.
Fire Farm and Kitchen Garden Farm. It really is. We would love to just keep throwing out all of those farms' names because we couldn't do it without them. And I think it's really important that everybody knows just how important it is to support those local farms nearby to us. They put so much in throughout the year to bring us a really good product that isn't sprayed with chemicals and is on good lands and just ultimately has the most nutrients in it. And that's really what Nourish is all about. All 100% organic.
Can you talk to us a little bit more about your commitment to organic, why that's important to you?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people, they don't really think there's a huge difference between conventional and organic. And for us, it's definitely the chemicals that end up going into the soil and sprayed on the food. We want to avoid that at all costs. Just really give our people the best that they can get. And of course, that at times comes with a hefty price because organic is way more expensive. But for us, it's really not about just profiting. It's not for Kyle and I to benefit from any of this. We really just our mission is to bring more organic and local food far and wide. So this is just the start of our expansion, we hope.
Not to double down on the buy local thing, but I feel like that price tag ends up being bigger the further out you have to reach for your ingredients and source things. The beauty of buying local is that there's a lot of local farms that are organic but can't get certified because that process it was a mess before, it's more of a mess now, but they're already doing all of those things that would make the farm be considered organic.
Yeah, and it's really funny you mentioned that because we have other farms we've worked with in the past, and one of them that had the opportunity to sell their goods, their produce, to big places like Whole Foods, but they wanted them to do this extra step that was not organic.
One of the challenges we have, just as a society, is food preparation and food waste and a lack thereof. So I'm curious if there's adequate demand for what you guys have on offer. Clearly, it's incredibly unique, and that commitment to organic is very rare. So I'm wondering if you just have people kind of busting down your doors here.
Well, just about every single week we have people that come from Martha's Vineyard, places in New York and Vermont, and then we hear from much further away too that they just can't find really food like this. There's places like LA that have lots of places like Nourish that have organic, wellness related food, but you have to typically drive quite a way, at least when you're in New England. But yeah, how can we change that?
More coming up with Casey Flaherty and Kyle Steinberg of Nourish Wellness Cafe from their brand new East Hampton location as we hear about this expansion and the things people are craving in the cold of winter.
Plus, we'll explore ways to better connect with kids for academic success and more with Valenti Tulloch, and check out one of the weirder nuances of English grammar with Word Nerd Emily Brewster.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
We're speaking with Kyle and Casey at Nourish Wellness Cafe, the brand new one. There's one in Northampton, but this is the one at Eastworks in East Hampton. We talk to Congressman Jim McGovern on the show every week. We've talked many times about food as medicine. We do a lot of work with the Food Bank of Western Mass, as does CISA, about trying to keep people well using good and healthy food. Calling yourself a wellness cafe sends a very clear message. It's cold and flu season right now. What are people coming in for? Trying to nourish themselves and be well.
As we look at your giant display of fire cider over there.
Yeah, I mean the fire cider from Sweet Birch Herbals that has horseradish and onion and garlic and ginger and all these amazing things that just like warm your insides and keep you healing for the winter. And then our wellness broth that has our chickpea miso from South River Miso. They're right out of Northampton, but I believe they might make that in Conway nearby to us. But delicious, amazing stuff that you cannot get anywhere else. And yeah, people are coming in for that every single day. They need that sipping broth, they say, to get them through the winter, and yeah, it keeps them feeling healthy.
One of the ones I think of is one of our wellness shots that we have is our immunity boost, which is lemon, ginger, turmeric. Can't go wrong with just taking a quick little 2-ounce shot of immunity there. Daily Greens has always been a popular one for us. That's our green smoothie there.
Ginger, lemon, kale, all of that good stuff that you could use to keep that inflammation away during the winter. I know we're all experiencing that right now with it being so cold.
Does your menu change seasonally?
Especially because we're in the heart of winter.
Yeah, totally. No, we have some like rotating fresh soups that we're always trying to do.
Outside of that, I mean, our menu does stay static throughout the year. Every time you come into Nourish, you're going to be able to get what you can get, you know.
Throughout the year, we bring on like local favorites. So like in August, people love our Southwestern Bowl. They cry when it goes away because it's only a week or two that we can get the fresh local corn from Warner Farm. It's one of the only farms that we seem to be able to get organic corn. So, just that week or two that we can get that right off the stalk. And then also in June and July, when the tomatoes come around, our caprese toast is really, really popular. That has tomatoes from either Red Fire Farm or Kitchen Garden or one of the amazing farms nearby to us.
Okay, we're getting in the weeds here.
I think you could put them in a smoothie and they're good for you.
Yeah. Only some of them. Some of them are poisonous. Be careful. Talk about the things that you offer raw versus the things that you offer that are cooked, because there are some people, especially in vegan community, who are really against cooking anything, despite science that says maybe you should.
So when it comes to our wellness bowls, most of it is raw and fresh. Our cabbage, our carrots, our sprouts, our massage kale that we massage every single day. That is all
very strong hands. Like
we do. Yeah, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of massaging that goes on.
I've seen people make great kale salads, but they beat the crap out of that kale.
So maybe instead of talking about what is raw, it's like, let's talk about what's cooked, because it's very few and far between of what we have. So for us, only thing that's cooked is our brown rice and our black beans.
And our butternut squash. We do
Butternut
actually
squash,
steam something upwards of 400 pounds of squash a week.
excellent, because that is what is filling all of the coolers and storage across farms
Yeah,
in our
we've
area.
gone to go
So
see them.
awesome. Yes.
Pallets and pallets and
It was
pallets
a very
of squash.
good year for butternut squash.
Good for us.
Kyle and Casey from Nourish Wellness Cafe, tell us your background, like what got you into this and what put you on this kind of mission? You could have opened any kind of cafe you wanted.
Yeah, it definitely is. And my dream was to open up a bakery cafe since I was very young. I did culinary arts for 4 years in high school.
Where'd you go?
I went to West Springfield, Pioneer Valley, Career Tech. Yes, they were amazing. Chef Maspo, thanks for everything you taught me. It was a really amazing school experience, and I love to bake breads and cookies. And of course, as I went to Nourish and I worked there for a year or two, I was like, wow, I love this mission so much. There's so many people coming in every single week saying this is my favorite restaurant in town. I can't go anywhere else because there's a lot of dietary restrictions these days. So many people that need to eat gluten-free just because of allergies and reacting to so much of the bread that's on the shelves that is just not healthy for you. So shout out to Woodstar Cafe as well, because they are now supplying us with our delicious sourdough that everybody loves so much and our gluten-free bread. But yeah, our whole entire menu, it's gluten-free, it's 99% vegan. There's some honey or maybe a hard-boiled egg, but outside of that, we try to just keep it really clean and fresh, local good food.
How I got into Nourish is really an extension of Casey. Once I met Casey and just saw her passion for Nourish and what she was doing, I kind of just jumped on the Nourish train, and here we are. And
I could not do it without him. Honestly, Nourish 2, Nourish East Hampton would not have happened without Kyle. Although I have more food experience, Kyle makes the best bowls you've ever seen. So he picked it all up really quickly.
I don't know if this is part of a family legacy, but I would be remiss to not shout out the fact that your grandfather, my former radio colleague Bob Flaherty, is about the healthiest mid-70-year-old person you will ever meet in your life. And the lovely and talented Anne Marie, who is your grandmother.
Yes.
You would think they are vampires because they are so healthy, but really they probably just...
Must be regulars.
Yeah, they must be nourished regulars and living that healthy lifestyle maybe as an example to you.
Yeah, no, and they too, they've always been on their feet, hiking, bike riding every single day for miles on the highway. They will do it all. They are really big about just enjoying their life every single day together and making lots of memories. So yeah, they've definitely been a great example. My grandmother's still doing backflips to this day.
She's crazy.
I've seen her do
She
it.
is I was asking for tips to how to learn how to do a kip up just like 6 months ago.
So you took over Nourish in Northampton in 22. It's 26. That's only 4 years. What made you want to expand?
I've always wanted to expand, honestly. I think just ever since I started to hear people having to drive so far to come see us, and just we get emails all the time about is there any chance you guys ever think about coming over to this area or expanding or moving to the state or even franchising? And it's definitely something we think about. And right now, we're really trying to just hone in on making sure all of our systems at both of our locations are, as good as they can be. We're always just trying to make things better and bring new things to the menu and figure out what our people are wanting too, because of course with East Hampton being a different town, even though we're 10 minutes or so away, there are people that seem like they would like to see other things as well, and that's where we're kind of trying to tune into, okay, what is East Hampton looking for? And we've gotten amazing suggestions and great feedback, and people on one of our most recent polls just saying, don't change anything, everything you have is great, and of course that's so amazing to hear.
And as far as just expansion's sake, bringing this food to more people really is the reason behind it. It's such an important thing for us to just let this be commonplace for people and make it accessible, and bring organic food to the table and bring a space where people can come and enjoy that.
And Kyle and I would love to see more places like this too. We go out to eat too, not that often, but when we do, there's not that many places for us to go where we feel exactly fully confident in what we're eating, or that there's not added things to it. So, maybe this will help other people that see us at a young age opening these cafes and make them want to do it too, and make them want to open up another organic spot that'll support local farms. So yeah, the more we can do to get this food out, it would make us really happy.
People may not think of spots like this in the winter because people forget that farms are still sometimes producing in the winter. But what's your favorite thing that's on this menu right now?
Our lentil stew is just always a big favorite, and I know we already mentioned the butternut squash, but the harvest bowl just seems to be almost everybody's number one. So if you're looking for something that's really hearty and filling and has something warm in there, I'd probably pick that. Otherwise, the Buddha bowl for the last nearly 10 years now is definitely still the number one wellness bowl.
Yeah. I think my favorite probably has to be the coffee cacao smoothie. So any of you out there who loves their coffee and also wants to enjoy it in a nice, complete package as a smoothie form, it's super tasty. It's got 8 ounces of cold brew in there, cashews, we got date in there, banana, coconut milk. It's delicious. Can't forget the cacao nibs too, which makes it the coffee cacao.
And you do have Yup Coffee here, which I will be leaving with shortly.
Yes,
For sure.
And they also supply us with our espresso beans, but we do also carry our Nourish blends that they make specifically for us. So you can't get that anywhere else but here.
And they're a local roaster.
Yes, they're a local family-owned roaster right in Florence. They roast it fresh right before delivery each week, and they're just an amazing family. They actually take long trips out to places like Costa Rica and whatnot to actually see where their coffee is coming from. They go and meet their farmers, and it's just the coolest thing.
Yeah, it's a huge shout out to Matt and Liza. They're awesome there.
2026 goals, we're going to go to all the coffee roasters in the 413.
Jeez, that's gonna take the
in
whole
one
year.
day.
No. We have a whole year to do it.
And also see previous episode of the Fabulous 413 where we got the origin story of Yup Coffee.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like dollars coming here and that we're all making choices. And don't we want to give some of those dollars to you guys and keep this thing going and circling back to our local farms, get some healthy food, come on out and check out Nourish too.
Thanks so much to Jennifer Kaur, Executive Director of CISA, and Casey Flaherty and Kyle Stenberg for taking so much time with us.
We'll chat with Academic Leadership Association CEO Valenti Tulloch about his book, Engage to Excel, the release of which will be celebrated in Springfield this weekend.
But first, to see how gerunds, adjectival phrases, possessives, and conjunctions all make a weird contextual English stew with Word Nerd Emily Brewster.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Dean's Beans Organic Coffee, a locally based, worker-owned company committed to social and environmental responsibility, roasting fair trade, organic, shade-grown coffee since 1993. deansbeans.com.
Emily Brewster, resident wordster from Merriam-Webster, our dictionary in Springfield. Before we get into some grammar, a huge shout out to your thespian son, Theo, for playing Casca in the Young Shakespeare Players East's Julius Caesar. Speak hands for me! The first stab at the back of Julius Caesar.
Yes, he was the first to stab Caesar. And congratulations to you, too, for your Mark Antony.
Not Mark Antony. He was Octavius Caesar, my Pax, at 12
Pax
years
was
of...
Octavius Caesar.
Yes,
Oh,
yes. Mark Antony trying to bring him to power. I'm like, for the next 3 or 4 days, I'm going to be a Shakespeare Julius Caesar expert, and then I will forget everything that happens and who is what in that play.
There are 2 full casts. I feel like it is okay.
Long story short, the only reason I'm involved in the Shay is because my kids have been involved in the Shakespeare program there for better than a decade, and they do full uncut works of Shakespeare, as does Emily Brewster's son Theo at this point as well. You end up seeing Julius Caesar 4 times in one weekend. You start to know it.
It's definitely true. I have some lines that are stuck in my head. The month of January, for example, is 21 days wasted.
Oh, because that's how they
Yes.
refer to it.
That's how they talk about March being 14 days wasted in the middle of the night. When I guess it is Brutus who wants to know if tomorrow is the Ides of March.
Right. It was great. And then they ended it with singing Bella Ciao, so it was chilling.
It was
Chilling. But Emily Brewster, we're here not to talk about Caesar.
I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him.
We are here to talk about grammar.
I have a grammatical question to ask you.
Okay.
I have to ask you about how you feel about 2 very similar sentences. Which do you prefer? How do you feel about it's being cold versus how do you feel about it being cold?
Oh, 2 feels better.
Yeah, I think so too. How do you feel about it being cold? How do you feel about it's being cold? I would definitely say the latter rather than the former.
What is your sense of the difference between the 2?
It feels like that first one needs a semicolon or a separation. How do you feel about? And then about usually leads into some sort of clause that doesn't necessarily have its own verb. Being a state as opposed to a verb in this case. How do you feel about it is being cold? Feels strange.
It's is either possessive or it is a contraction. And how do you feel about it is being cold is I would never say. So the contraction part is out.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it's possessive being cold? Who's possessing the cold?
Or
how do you feel about
who's possessing
it?
the being?
Yeah.
Or is the being it's being cold?
Yeah. Now, the fact is that you understand either sentence, but one of them definitely sounds right to you, and one of them sounds just a little bit weird.
Yes.
Yes.
The difference between them, of course, is the word it and what the word it is doing in this context. If it's it being cold, the it is just a personal pronoun. And if it's being cold, it's the possessive pronoun it's. It's like the coldness belongs to the it.
Uh-huh.
Right.
And this is a little bit more clear if we use a pronoun like you. How do you feel about you seeing Shakespeare, Julius Caesar,
Well,
4 times?
4
in
times
one
as much,
weekend?
a little much.
Et tu, brute.
How do you feel about your having seen Julius Caesar 4 times? How do you feel about you having seen and your having seen?
I could go either way with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the your, it doesn't feel like a contraction there. It feels like possessive.
Yes, and it is possessive. And I think that if we analyze it, it also is possessive in the it's being cold. Although that it in this case is it's that weird it, like it's raining. It's the weather that is being cold.
Who is
so
it?
it's really just a placeholder grammatically.
I mean, it feels better. It feels better when you say it's the raining that gets you.
It's raining men. Who's it?
It is raining men.
The weather girls.
Oh.
We're your weather girl. And have we got news for you?
Now, this sort of situation that we have, this grammatical situation where we've got 2 pronouns that are different, they're both allowed. Neither one sounds completely ungrammatical in this context. And this is very unusual for English to allow 2 different types of pronouns to fit into the same context. So for example, if we are saying something like, that black beret is hers, we allow that, but we don't allow that black beret is her. Right? We require hers in a situation like that. So what is it about your being cold, right? Or it being cold? It's the word being. And the word being is just a very particular, tricky word in English. We can understand it as being a gerund being something that looks like a verb with an ing ending, but that is actually a noun. So a gerund sounds like a verb, looks like a verb, but it does everything that a noun does. So it can be the subject of a sentence. Like if we take a gerund like snapping, right? We can say snapping is cool. Right? Or we can say
it is cool.
It is. We can also make it the object of a preposition, like you're very good at snapping. In those cases,
I am very good at snapping.
How did I know?
Like turtles.
Right. They're very good at snapping. I mean, some of them just the snapping kind. So the other thing that gerunds can also do is they can have the possessive, just like any good noun can do. Possession in grammar is we think of it as being about ownership, but it's also about a relationship that's, similar in some way to ownership. So when you say, this is the cat's dish, it's not so much that it belongs to the cat, but that it has an association with the cat.
Mm-hmm.
We can show possession in English with an apostrophe, right? Like the cat's beret, but we can also do it with a possessive pronoun or a possessive adjective. Like the beret is hers, it's her beret.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say you're being cold, if the being is a gerund, then it is the possession of that state of existence, that state of being. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, we can think about whether it's necessary to think about being as being a gerund in these cases, because it isn't always.
The plot thickens.
The plot thickens, yes. So we're going to make things a little bit absurd here, just for the sake of illustrating this. We've got this cat. Cat has a beret, and we're going to talk about this cat. A new example. Let's say the cat doesn't approve of you wearing her beret versus the cat doesn't approve of your wearing her beret.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Some grammarians have been absolutely certain that the possessive is the only way to go in English, that you would have to say, Mabel doesn't approve of your wearing her beret, Mabel the cat.
Okay.
But it's weird then that we have so many examples in writing by really competent users of English where we don't have the possessive, where we just have the simple pronoun you. It gets more complicated if we adjust our sentence a little bit and use a slightly different example. So let's say the cat appreciated them buying her beret, or the cat appreciated their buying her a beret. Do those both sound okay to you?
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah.
Do they mean exactly the same thing to you? The cat appreciated them buying her a beret, or the cat appreciated their buying her a beret?
To me, the cat appreciated, the cat who we now know his name is Mabel, the cat appreciated them buying her a beret means that she appreciates them as human beings, allegedly, who are buying the beret. The cat appreciated their...
means she appreciates the buying,
The
not
act.
necessarily the people.
Yeah, the act of the buying of the beret.
Exactly. The emphasis of the sentence is a little bit different. This means, if we go back to snapping, let's look at this, right? So sometimes, how about a difference between do you like my snapping and do you like me snapping?
Yeah.
Do you like the way that I snap versus
Right.
do you like
when I snap.
yeah.
Yeah. So the first one can be understood as saying, I'm somebody who snaps and I want to know what you think of my snapping abilities.
Yes.
Right.
Do you like me snapping is like, I'm doing the snapping right now and you should tell me if I should continue.
Right.
Yes.
Even if you
Right.
put singing instead of snapping in there. Do you like
Same
my
thing.
singing is like, are you a good singer or not? Do you like me singing? Are you going to annoy the crap out of me because you're singing in the middle of the workplace while I'm
Exactly.
trying to focus?
Yes.
Right. So in this case, what we're seeing is that there is no possessive. We're actually not dealing with a gerund at all. Here's another pair of sentences. We can say, here's a photo of you wearing my cat Mabel's beret. Or can we say, here's a photo of your wearing my cat Mabel's beret?
Second one feels weird.
Yeah, we can't.
Yeah, right.
We can't do it. It is not a sentence that any native speaker would ever say.
No.
But why? Because we've already established that if wearing is a gerund, then the possessive pronoun coming before it should be fine. Then we also get to a sentence like, you're wearing my cat's beret is outrageous, right?
Yeah.
You're wearing Mabel's beret is an outrage. In that case, then, we also have that possessive pronoun in front of the gerund. So wearing can be a gerund, but it's not a gerund in a sentence like, here's a photo of you wearing my cat's beret.
It's weird that you've got your cat a beret.
No,
I
it's
know.
fine. It's fine.
Okay.
No, it's totally weird. And in fact, it's a fact about how sometimes when I have to write articles for Merriam-Webster.com, I find them a little dry. And so I put in kind of absurd elements. And when I was researching and writing about this one, I had a cat named Mabel who had a beret.
Did your cat actually have a beret?
No, and I don't have a cat named Mabel. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
it's just a device. It's a rhetorical device, Monty. So in that example, if we have like wearing my cat's beret, in that case, the wearing is a participial phrase. It's a phrase headed by a participle functioning as an adjective. So a participle being a verb form that is not being a verb.
Okay.
In the sentence, here's a photo of you wearing my cat's beret. Wearing my cat's beret actually describes you. It's
Right.
a photo of you, this person, wearing my cat's beret. So instead of the you describing the wearing the way that it does with the gerund analysis, in this case, it's that wearing my cat's beret is all kind of acting adjective-y on the word you.
Makes sense.
I just think it's incredibly wild that the English language allows for these different constructions, and that if you look beneath the surface, what you see is that the actual syntax of the sentence is different. This is why, to appreciate this, you really have to be a nerd.
I feel like it also doesn't necessarily help that in these cases, the possessive version of those pronouns is the same as the contractive version of those.
You mean the it and its in particular?
It and its and your.
I don't think it's only in cases where it's a homophone of the possessive. I think what we're really talking about, if we're looking at the spelling of your, it's actually the adjectival versus possessive. And the meaning of the sentence, the emphasis of the sentence can change, as we understood when we were talking about, like, do you like my snapping versus me snapping, right? There's possession and then there's modification. In some cases, there's this kind of fine distinction, or maybe not even so fine. Sometimes it gets like to be a blunter distinction between what the actual meaning is. But then there are all these other cases where either one can work.
I mean, the first example, both of them work. Many of these examples, both of them work. A couple of them, they didn't both work.
Right.
And I think maybe the greater lesson here is don't be so grammatically judgy. If somebody was to say it's versus it or your versus you,
guide them towards what feels more comfortable, because I feel like we both had a certain comfort with one version of this. And that might be because of being ensconced in English for so long.
Well, I think native speakers can just trust themselves on this, right? That they will naturally kind of make a distinction if they need to, if they want to emphasize the relationship between the things, or if they want to emphasize the giver of the thing. That will naturally occur to native speakers. And as far as the cases where it just goes either way, they're really both well documented in very good writing. To be honest, if somebody wants to be all snobby about this one, I feel like it is so convoluted. And if they can explain it to me, they can go ahead and be a snob on this.
yeah, because you do this professionally and it's even complicated for you. So I think native speakers, trust your gut and be kind to other people that are also native speakers, and especially who are not.
Yes.
It does, for some dumb reason, all of this pronoun talk talk remind me of that viral clip about Laura Ingraham from Fox News when her guest was talking about the television show You and talking about the measles. And Laura Ingraham kept thinking he was literally talking about Laura Ingraham.
It was on you.
I've never had measles. What are you talking about? This is stupid.
It was an episode of a show, Laura.
What's it called?
You.
What is he talking about?
It's called You.
I've never done a show on measles. I just completely give up. We gotta get
It's
out
a
of this.
show
I give up.
called You on Netflix.
There's a show called Laura Ingraham on Netflix. What are you
Never
talking
mind.
about?
I'm moving on to Adele.
If I need a laugh, I watch that 1 minute clip because it just goes to show you the absurdity of the English language. And also, I'm glad that your cat Mabel has a beret. But Emily Brewster, you're the cat's pajamas.
And frankly, none of these rules are nearly as difficult as the things I had to learn for Japanese.
I'm sure.
I am sure of that too. Yeah, and usually it's just not about you.
Yeah.
About me?
What was on me? What are you talking about?
Well, if you have a question for Emily Brewster, our resident wordster from Merriam-Webster, the dictionary in Springfield,
If you're having a question,
send it to me or you or us at thefab413@nepm.org.
Yeah, you're having a question for the Word Nerd is a great reason to write.
Perfect.
full circle.
It's Mabel. And now to explore ways to get better connections with kids, their teachers, and community with educator Valenti Tulloch of Academic Leadership Association.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Eastside Grill, celebrating 40 years in downtown Northampton, serving steaks, seafood, and American cuisine to the Pioneer Valley and beyond. Open Wednesday through Monday, eastsidegrill.com. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar in Hatfield, offering personalized solar energy solutions and ongoing customer care, proudly serving communities throughout the Pioneer Valley. Northeast-solar.com.
Teach your children well.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. Engage to Excel is a new book that is a roadmap to getting closer relationships between students and the educators who see them day in and day out.
Its author is Valenti Tulloch, an award-winning community leader recognized for his dedication to service with accolades that include an NAACP Community Service Award and several other honors throughout Western Massachusetts. He serves as CEO of the Academic Leadership Association, otherwise known as ALA, a school-based mentoring and leadership program whose mission is to empower youth to make positive changes within themselves and their school communities through mentoring, leadership, development, and advocacy.
In addition to his role at ALA, Valenti is the co-founder of the Academic Leadership Association of Greater Springfield, a nonprofit organization offering free summer enrichment camps, after-school programming, and community-engaging field trips for youth in the middle school empowerment zones of the Greater Springfield area.
Engage to Excel condenses those experiences into more of a roadmap for other educators and families, and there will be a celebration of this brand new book's release this Saturday at White Lion in Springfield. Welcome to the show, Valenti Tulloch. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. That's an amazing intro.
Most of it you wrote. We just read it out loud on the radio.
Hearing it, I'm like, where does this guy find the time
I know, right?
to do all these things?
Well, where do you find the time? Because are you actively teaching still, or are you teaching teachers right now?
Teaching teachers. So, the program's design, it really started out as a program to support youth, right? And do the school-based mentoring, advocacy work with families. And then we quickly realized the teachers need help too. Mm-hmm. And what happens is we'll connect with the kids, we'll have conversations about what's happening, and they'll get to the point where they're ready to kind of transition back into class. And then once they get back into class, a couple things happen. They're either waiting for me to come back, right? Or, it's the same cycle between them and the teacher, right? And how do we break that cycle? And a lot of the trainings we do is to support educators and to build relationships and build true, authentic connections. This job the work is really, really difficult. It's even more challenging without those connections.
And yet at the core of it is just listen. Like the importance of just listening to these kids, especially the kids that are quote unquote like problem kids or kids that are having like issues in class and school and attendance. Like the fact that like at the base of this and a lot of this book is like, hey, maybe just like listen to them.
Yeah. That's
why is that such a hard lesson?
it's tough, right? Because as adults, we're wired to solve the problem, right? We're wired to just say, all right, what's going on? All right, that's it. Like all right, well, we should do this, this, and this. And sometimes kids don't want us to solve the problem in that moment. They just want to be heard and listened to, right? And not be they don't want you to be the same adult that they tried to do this with for, their previous experience. So, and we talk about this in the book, and we talk about this in training, is when we're listening, we're not rushing to solve the problem. A good thing to do is just say, hey, that's a lot of information. You gave me a lot. Give me a second to think about it. Can we revisit this conversation this afternoon or even tomorrow? And then really give it some genuine thought. And then when you come back to that conversation, kids a lot of things happen when this happens, but the first thing is like, oh, wow, you actually remembered, you actually came back and gave me some thoughtful, conversation around what I can do to kind of change this situation or, help me get through this and navigate this. And that's just authentic listening. And I think that can really break through with a lot of kids who just want to be heard, especially teenagers.
The book centers around middle schoolers. Talk about why it's so important for you, Valenti Tulloch, who's got a new book out, Engaged to Excel, a book launch this Saturday. Why to focus on middle schoolers and teachers of middle schoolers?
Yeah, it's middle school years, teenage years I have a 14-year-old. It's some of the most challenging times for parents, for the kids, for educators, teachers, counselors. There's a lot happening, a lot of developmental changes at that time, and and so we've noticed in the work that we do is I spend a lot of my time in middle schools. I spend a lot of the stories that are in the book are direct experiences that we've had last week.
Yeah.
So. I think that, and we just notice there's a need. There's like this time where, they get to middle school and look, the data says it, right? Like, kids are, especially students of color, are suspended 4 times more than their counterparts, right? And then I even looked deeper into the data, and kids, children of color, by the time they, graduate 8th grade, only 15% of them are reading on grade level. Mm-hmm. What's happening from the moment they leave elementary school to the time they get to high school, right? There's a serious achievement gap and a connection gap in those years. And we see it every day.
And one of the things you bring up in this book is implicit bias and how that transforms where, and I'm imagining, you see a cute elementary school student, no matter what color they are, they're a cute elementary school student. When they get to be looking more adult and more grown up, that's when some of the media messaging and propaganda and implicit bias comes in. And you even talk about as a black man, your own implicit bias in your own personal experience in this book.
Yes. Thank you. I'm so happy you guys read the book too. Like,
it's only 80 pages. It took us like a heartbeat. We read like the John Sayles book we have to read for next week. It's like 500 pages long.
Now I feel like I should have wrote more.
I mean, you're welcome. You're welcome to. This is only your first book. I feel like you probably have more to say.
Yeah, but talk about implicit bias.
So we all have it, right? And the moment we acknowledge this bias, right, and how it shows up on a daily basis, it's liberating. Right, I had an experience where I was in Boston for an AAU tournament. I was coaching my son, and we were in this area in Boston I wasn't familiar with. Right, so I had to go out to the car and get something out of my trunk, and somebody kind of walked up from behind me, and I was really startled. But this guy looked just like me. He could have been my brother, and I kind of went into like this they talk about like fight or flight mode, but like I kind of went into this like, all right, like what's happening? Am I getting? And in that moment, I had to stop myself and be like, why am I responding this way to this individual? All he wanted to do was know about the car I was driving. He had questions about the car because he was interested in getting the same car. And after that conversation, I was like, wow, that moment was really, I called this guy, his name is Timmy Allen, and we do a lot of work together, and we do a lot of these trainings together. And I was like, hey, listen, Timmy, I just want to let you know that I just experienced my own bias to my own people. It was really, and so now I know going forward, like if I can check that and acknowledge that in the beginning, I'm only going to be a better person, and I'm only going to be able to connect with the people around me in a better way, right? You got the kids who, if kids feel it, kids have this superpower. They know if you're authentic. They know if you're authentic. They know if you like them or not. And if they show up into your classroom and you give them that vibe that you don't want to be there, whether you say it or not, your mannerisms, right? And the moment they act out, you're not even giving them the time of day. You're just sending them out of the classroom. What is that doing for anybody?
It's interesting. There's actually an Atlantic article right now talking about this very same thing. It says the wrong way to motivate your kid. When children fall short, many parents, not just teachers, instinct is to take away something they love. That's the wrong impulse. And the article goes on to talk more about...
Because it drives them to do more of that thing, like instead of like what you're suggesting throughout this book, which is a certain sort of like direct connection.
Yeah, and it really comes through in the book, and the book is called Engaged to Excel, and we're speaking with the author, Valenti Tulloch, who is from Academic Leadership Association, Teaching the Teachers. There's a book launch for this book at White Lion Brewing in Springfield this Saturday, January 24th from 12:30 to 2:30.
I'm curious if there was ever any pushback from the schools that you were at when you started doing home visits.
Because home visits and connecting at people's home outside of just the school is a big part of this book, too. Which, as people who went to school, whenever you see a teacher outside of school,
you're like,
it's shocking. They don't exist outside of school. They're like, those people from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, they're not allowed to leave that building or it all collapses.
And that's the beauty of our role, right? Is we can kind of have a little more, room to do the things like home visits and really connect with the families. And I just want to add that I really enjoy meeting families, understanding the family dynamic, because it helps me understand the student. And I also love to learn from the families of the houses I go into. Like I asked I asked a bunch of questions about how things, how do you guys kind of, parents are the, I say the parents are the experts of their child, right? And so that gives me an opportunity to kind of learn from the parent and learn how to best connect with their child, right? If we had a relationship that kind of went sour, I'm on the phone with the parents. Hey, you're the expert. Give me some tools, some tricks to fix this relationship, and put the ego aside, right? Put the ego aside. I talk about this in the book. When I first got into teaching, because I was a teacher, I was an adjustment counselor, I was an administrator, and I was out in Southbridge. And when I first got into teaching, there was a kid who really had a bad reputation throughout the school. And I was new to the school. I was new to the district in Southbridge. So I didn't know, right? I was just kind of learning. And that's not always good when teachers are talking about a kid like, oh, his older brother dropped out, so he's going to be the same. Those conversations were happening. And one day I just went, me and the kid kind of had a pretty good relationship to start, right? He was intrigued by who this guy was wearing suits, right? So we had a conversation. I was like, hey, I noticed that every day at 1 o'clock you're getting sent out of class, right? And I know it's math. So what's happening in math that you're getting kicked out of? These are the questions that we had to ask, right, as a leadership team. And so we would have a quick check-in every day at 1 o'clock. And this kind of counteracted the issues with, being sent out of class.
Yeah.
And one of our rules was we couldn't talk about school. We had to talk about life. What's going on? How's your team doing? Are you just playing basketball? We had those conversations. I was telling him about what's going on in my life.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we talk about, selective vulnerability in the book. But and one day he didn't show up to school for 3 days in a row. So I just went to his house. I was like, hey, I knocked on the door. He answered. He had his PJs on still. It was just him home. And I'm like, what's up, man? We have our check-in at 1 o'clock. Where are you?
Yeah.
You're not here. I'm looking forward to these check-ins. I have nobody to talk to at 1 o'clock. He looked at me like I had 3 heads. Right? And I was like, first of all, he's like, what are you doing here? Nobody ever came to my house.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? You only live not even a half a mile down the street. This is nothing. And he was like, well, I was like, listen, you don't have to come to school today. Let's check in real quick. I left, and We didn't have any attendance issues with him after that.
Right.
Because somebody showed up. Somebody showed that they cared. So home business is a really good tool to connect with kids, connect with families, and just show students you really, truly care about them.
And teachers do so much as it is. So it's really sometimes could be hard to say, like, go to their house and check in on them. But the things that I think this book says that you can incorporate are treating the kids like human beings. It's really easy to think they're kids, they're students, I'm the boss, and to just let it go. But to say, like, oh, you're a Bills fan, you must be really sad this week.
Yeah.
Because your team lost so badly.
I
They'll connect with them on that level.
At the core of like what made the push to get rid of the MCAS too is just sort of like, if we treat these kids like they a little bit or have a little more autonomy over that academic journey, like you get to go along with them and see them grow in different ways.
Yeah, I'm a parent, and my wife helped me to break some of the things that I learned about from my own parents by connecting with your kids in this connection parenting style that you bring into this book about connection teaching. It's really what it comes down to. And I love the part about the invisible backpack, like not seeing what these kids are carrying with them, whether it's food insecurity or housing instability or grief or trauma, and acknowledging these kids' whole humanity really comes through as an important part of this book. And the new book is Engage to Excel, and there will be a book launch this Saturday, January 24th, from 12:30 to 2:30 with the book's author, Valenti Tulloch, who has been joining us for this segment. It's a great book.
Fun.
It's an easy read, as we mentioned. We both were like, oh, he's coming on tomorrow. We'll read it in a day. And we did read it in a day.
Yeah, and like there's just a lot of really good tools in it, not just for talking to the kids in your life, but like for talking to just everybody.
Yeah.
Simple tools that seem very difficult.
Yes, and I think, again, it goes back to the idea of just recognizing their humanity and incorporating that into the teaching. And middle school is such a vulnerable age, and this is a good resource to start this process. Engage to Excel, once again, is the name of the book. Valenti Tulloch is the author. They'll be at White Lion Brewing in Springfield on Saturday, January 24th from 12:30 to 2:30. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
No, and congratulations on your first book. Always an achievement.
Can't wait to read the next one.
You guys will get it first.
All right, good.
All right. Tomorrow on the show, we go to Westfield to visit the Amelia Park Children's Museum to get ready for their Polar Plunge fundraiser this weekend.
We are not polar plunging.
No,
We're
we are
just
not.
checking out the museum.
One of
Thank
us
God.
cold triggers
Yes.
for asthma. Not doing that.
U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern will join us as usual on Thursday. If you've got a question for the congressman, send it our way, thefab413@nepm.org. I'm Monty Belmonte.
I'm Khalees Smith. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Fabulous 413.